Tuesday's election results will shift the balance of power in the House of Representatives to the Democrats. That means the party will have the power to challenge Trump administration priorities and launch investigations into the White House. CBS News Chief Congressional Correspondent Nancy Cordes has more.
Winning the majority gives Democrats the power to set the House agenda. It also gives them the power to investigate the president or his cabinet members for suspected ethics lapses like extravagant travel. They can subpoena documents like the president's tax returns, or they can compel top officials to testify about controversial policies or foreign investments in Trump properties. Maryland's Elijah Cummings will now chair the key Oversight Committee.
We have a duty to look into government and to try to figure out what might be wrong and try to correct it and make things better.
House Democrats ended their 8 years in the minority by picking off Republicans in urban and suburban swing districts that Hillary Clinton won in 2016.
I will leave here tonight as I walk out with my head high.
Exit polling shows that voters, like Democratic candidates, considered health care the #1 issue, and they turned out in record numbers.
Tonight, the people of Missouri have delivered.
Republicans found comfort in a series of Senate gains, as Democrats Claire McCaskill, Joe Donnelly, and Heidi Heitkamp were all defeated in their Republican-leaning states.
We took a thumping in the rural areas, and I understand that.
Democrats laid out their goals for divided government today, saying they want to work with the president to lower prescription drug costs and to invest in infrastructure. The president said he shares those goals, but will only play ball if they agree not to investigate him.
I think it's very inappropriate. We should get along and get deals done. Now, we can investigate. They look at us, we look at them. It goes on for 2 years. Then at the end of 2 years, nothing's done. Now, what's bad for them is being in the majority, I'm just going to blame them. You understand? I'm going to blame them. They're the majority. Honestly, it makes it much simpler for me.
But Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi, set to retake the speaker's gavel come January, said her party has a duty to root out fraud and wrongdoing in government.
This doesn't mean we go looking for a fight, but it means that if we see a need to go forward, we will. But that will be the work of our committees. Every committee has oversight responsibility.
Nancy Cordes joins me now on set. So, Nancy, what are some immediate changes that we can expect to see when Democrats take control of the House next year?
Well, Nancy Pelosi kind of laid it out for us. First of all, she says that she sees some areas of common ground with the President of the United States on lowering prescription drug costs, on investing in infrastructure. The President said, sure, bring it on. But it was the second part of what she said that really got him upset. She said, look, as the majority, the Democrats will have a role to play in oversight of the administration. That means Democrats will now have the power to investigate the White House. They can investigate cabinet officials, look into things like extravagant travel. They can look into pricey office renovations. They can look into all the foreign investments in Trump properties and whether foreign governments and foreign organizations are getting any kind of special favor or expecting special favors by staying at Trump properties or Trump hotels. Those are the kinds of things that Democrats say they're going to be doing even as they work with the White House on issues where they agree. The president said in his press conference, no way, you investigate me, I'm not working with you, the deal is off. We'll see if that really comes to pass. I mean, he needs to have something to show for his next 2 years in the White House, and Democrats need to have something to show for their 2 years in the House.
Right. Oh, from the president's perspective, how does having an expanded majority in the Senate benefit him here moving forward?
Well, it gives him a cushion. I mean, just think about when Republicans tried, for example, to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act last year, and they failed by 1 vote because John McCain voted no. Another Republican voted no, and they didn't have the 51 votes that they needed. Now they're going to have 53 or 54 votes in the Senate. Some of the Republicans who are coming in are more conservative than the ones who are departing. And so that gives the president a cushion on policy. It gives him a cushion, most importantly for him, on judicial and cabinet nominations. So one of the main things that Republicans have been able to achieve over the past year is just confirming federal judge after federal judge, and now they'll have even more of a cushion to be able to do that.
We've been talking about this leading up to the midterms. Democrats had a historic number of women and people of color run for House seats. A significant number actually won. What about this election cycle actually led to that kind of results?
There were a couple of things. First of all, there were so many women and people of color who were turned off by this president, frankly, in the 2016 election. And when he was elected, they immediately said, first of all, you know, if he can win, I can win. And if he's going to be the president, I want to show my disapproval by running for office. I'm going to take a stand. And so you had all these minorities and women running. Beyond that, what you saw was across the Democratic Party, among voters, they too were frustrated and looking for an outlet for their frustration. So they gave money earlier to congressional candidates than they normally would. They volunteered earlier than they normally would. And that makes a big difference if you've got a huge pool of volunteers who are willing to make calls for you, canvass for you, put up signs for you a year ahead of time rather than a week ahead of time, a week ahead of the election. And so all of those things really helped Democrats. The fact that they were able to raise so much money so early meant that they could start running ads on TV earlier than Republicans, and they could really define themselves and their opponents before their opponents really got in the game.
All right, Nancy Cortez, I know it's been a long 48 hours for you. Really appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks for having me, Elaine.